Hey guys, today I want to share with you a couple of things I learned going from 0 to the number 3 ranked player in the world for 2048, and how those lessons have literally changed the way I look at my life and really altered how I plan for the future. So it's really crazy stuff. There's this app, it's called City 2048. I have it on this super old phone because I've been playing the thing for years, and essentially it's 2048 except the city versions, and there's a global leaderboard, and there's a couple power-ups, and it's really freaking cool stuff. And so what I would do is I would drive to school. My mom would drive me to school, right? It was like freshman, sophomore year of high school, and all I would do every single day is play 2048 for 20 minutes on the way there and 20 minutes on the way home, and just kept doing it over and over and over. And I figured out, the strategy within the first couple, 5 months of how to be good at 2048. And then something really interesting happened is I got to this whole new level of the game where originally I was learning and trying to figure out how to do it. And then I was practicing and getting good at the strategy. And then I started playing and I never lost, right? Because they have this really cool thing with this 2048 app, if you can see it. There's undo buttons and there's power-ups, and it's just a little bit of a change to the original version, but the biggest difference is that you get little bonuses every time you make a really big building. So you get maybe one undo, and that's the kind of advantage that can literally save an entire game. So I kept playing, and I kept growing one single game, right? So I just kept playing and playing and playing, and then I got to the point where I think the buildings were so big it was 32,000, right? So you get to 2048, and then you do that 16 times, and then something really interesting happened is it actually turned from a normal game into this whole different game where it was this future version. So right now it looks like this super cool future version where originally it was a farm, there was dirt, it was there were mountains when you had big buildings, because everything in City 2048 is a building instead of a number. And that was really interesting because originally, and everything I've been learning in this world where everything was dirt, everything was a house, everything was real estate, it was all the same. And then I got to this level of success where everything changed, and the whole map changed, the whole atmosphere of the game changed, the entire color scheme of the game changed. And instead of being on this earth tone area, now it was every little building was on the moon or some space colony. It was this whole new world that just came out of nowhere because of that success. And then something really interesting happened. I had all these power-ups, I had all these bonuses, but I lost. And after, I think it was playing the same level, same game, right? Same game, 2048, for 2 months. And then I got super carried away, and I messed up, and I lost everything. So I had to start over. And when I was starting over, it was so different because I was in the original version of the game before you get to that 32,000 level. Now, I don't know if you guys can see the score, but it's 10,950,000,000, I don't know, something like that. It's crazy because you just I'm at the max part of the game right now, so all I can do is get the 1,480,000 tile. But I want to talk a little more about the journey to get there, because it was so surreal to lose that game originally, right? That I've been playing for 2 months. You put 2 months into something, and you're really trying to get to the top of that leaderboard and find success and take a journey to really establish yourself in the whole 2048 world as the top of the game, the real deal. And something really, once you lose that game, you got to start over. And when you start over, you're back in that original world. That original world, they just grass and dirt. You're not on the moon anymore, right? You've got to start at ground zero and build it back up. And that failure, no one cares, right? But what you retain from that is the knowledge and the information and the skills and the strategies, and those are internalized inside of you. Those are skills that no one can take away from you. That's an education that comes from experience in the marketplace, and that experience in the marketplace is never going to leave you, right? You're always going to have those background skills of how do I be very good at 2048 and do very quickly build up buildings. So I went through the game, and just like I thought, the fastest time ever that I had gotten to the next part of the game where you get the 32,000 tile and it brings you into the space world. And then I just kept doing the same thing over and over. It's all about repeating the systems that are work, repeating proven systems, repeating everything over and over. All I would do was what I knew worked. And once I figured out the system, that's when everything started to get easy. So what happened is it was the same game once you get to that change where it turns into a space game, but it's a different world you're playing in. So you have the same strategies, the same techniques, but it's a different game field. It's a different battlefield. And it applies, like, it's such a profound insight. And I wouldn't have thought of it at the time, but I know when I was trading stocks and I was just starting, I was learning, I was in this phase with 2048 where I was trying all the different strategies and figuring out what worked. And that's kind of what I've been doing with stocks over the past 2 or 3 years, right? I was trying all the different strategies, technical analysis, fundamental analysis, growth concepts, figuring out what worked, figuring out how do you tell if a stock's gonna go up or down, figure it out, right? And then after you start doing that, you get into to actually applying it and starting to win, right? So I was trading over the summer, trading during school year, trading during cryptocurrency markets before the crash, and we were crushing it, right? And it's the same thing with 2048. You start doing it, and you crush 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 it. And then something really interesting, you know, you saw the video on here, I lost 100 grand, same thing, right? You lose what you worked for, and all those results just fade away. You lose everything. I lost everything in like a week. Everything was gone. And it sucked, it really sucked. That was in the real world, not in 2048. But it mimics that style of like this 2048 game that I played years and years ago, like actually actualized itself in my life. And it was like a cycle of my trading. So then after that, you have to start over. And you have the same skills, you have that same knowledge base at the bottom. You have everything you need to succeed. All you have to do is go out there, put the time in, put the effort in, and do it. So I spent like the next 4, 5, 6, 7 months playing 2048 every single day, committing all this time to it, because you know what? That was my thing. That's what I wanted to do. It made me so happy. And the same thing happened in the market, right? So now we're on this rebound. I wrote the book. I've taught all these classes. I've been getting in stuff in front of people because literally I have school every day, so I can't really trade 9 to noon. Then I was running the company last summer. Totally different story. But now, you know, I can get back in the game. And I can start going, And you know, as you guys saw that $250,000, $240,000 trading competition I just played in, I got this qualified, which freaking sucks. There was a whole video on that. It was a terrible experience, but you know, it was a whole different game field. That was the point where 10%, 20%, you double your portfolio and you make $100,000, $200,000. And that's something that happens so much in 9 to noon trading that it's just berserk, because that's a different game field that you can get to, and that was a game field that expanded my mindset, expanded my horizon, took me to this whole new level. Just like in 2048 where I was playing in space, in this game, in the stock market, I was playing in a game, you know, $240,000 trading account. And because of that, you realize that the game is the same, the strategy is the same, the principle is the same, but it's a whole another playing field. And the whole goal is to acquire the skills, acquire the education, acquire the background, acquire the knowledge, excuse me, and then the experience and the expertise in the marketplace, which only comes with practice, discipline, and application of the content in the market. And once you get that, once you're able to slide those tiles every time on 2048, that's when you can start to really grow it. And right now, it's really, really weird, because if I get the app right, you have this button and it magically creates a tower or a building in 2048. And now that I'm at this level in the game where I start to consistently get that bonus, and if you get that bonus, you can just keep spawning in the biggest towers in the game. You can keep creating like 500,000 tiles over and over and over by using this button. And then when you create those and you combine them, it gives you more of those bonuses. That's a totally another level of the game that took me like 4 months to get to, because you have to put in the work at the beginning, and you have to add up twos over and over and over and over, and 2 and 2 and 2 and 2 and 4 and 4 and 4 and 4. You have to have those small tiles at the beginning. You have to put in the work with those small tiles at the beginning. And then over time, you start to earn your way into an easier work life. You start to earn your way into an easier game of 2048. I started getting those casino tiles all the time. I also had those undo buttons, right? So what I could do is I could click the casino, and maybe if I got a bad tower, I could undo it, click it again, undo it, click it again, until I got the best one I could get. And the only reason I was able to do that is because I earned those casino tiles, and I would only get like one or two at a time at the beginning. Then I started to grow. I traded, not traded, I was playing 2048, every day for like another couple weeks, another couple months. Then it started to get to the point where I was able to do that consistently. I was able to consistently create those new buildings and spawn those new buildings using those bonus power-ups in the game. And because of that, I was able to skyrocket my growth geometrically. But the only reason I got there, and the only reason that opportunity was available to me, was because I put in that work early on, and I got to that level. And that level, you're still putting in the work, and you're still working, pretty much the same amount of time. It was still the same amount of time playing 2048, but it was a game at the beginning, a game at the middle, which was a different game, but then this game at the end. And this game at the end was berserk, because that was where your results start to 10x. That was where your growth curve skyrockets. You hockey stick, right? Because now you're playing a game of how can I create the largest tile as fast as possible, instead of how can I combine all the smallest tiles at the fastest rate possible, which is totally different in 2048, where you can literally spawn in like 40,000, 50,000 tiles, whatever they are, 64,000, use that as an entirely different atmosphere, right? So there's so many different stages, but the only way to level up, the only way to get to the next stage, is to put in the work, put in the effort, and then achieve it. And it's an internal journey and an external journey. And I see myself mirroring that on a longer term scale in stock market, what I'm doing right now. Like, you just gotta put in the work, you gotta grind, and then you get to a point where everything you do has created so much value in the marketplace, so much value in the game of 2048, that you open up this unique ability to open up this whole new world of opportunity where you can go, and now you're playing in a game that literally probably maybe 100 people who play this game City 2048 have access to, because you can tell on the leaderboard, the world leaderboard, literally no one's even close to the top 50 people, because top 50 people have access to this very special game. And the reason they have access to this very special game is because they put in the work at the beginning, they put in the grind at the beginning, and they put in the time and effort to get to the point where they could just play this advanced game where they're literally making what takes other people maybe a month. When you start, it takes them a month to get somewhere, and it takes these guys freaking 5 minutes. And the reason that they've earned the ability to do that is because they've proven their value in the marketplace through time, work, consistency, and growth. And the way they do that is by applying the same principles that person who's starting with the little tiny tile is using. You use that same principle with a big tile. It's all about establishing the right education and the right principles and the right growth in the beginning, so that as you grow and the impact of your decisions increases, that impact is going to have the best possible way to grow, because you understand at a core fundamental level the exact reason why you're doing what you're doing. And you understand exactly how to do it, so that when you go to that next stage, when you level up, when you take it to the next level up the value ladder, when you finally are able to have that $240,000 trading account, you're not trading blind. You know what you're doing because you've put the work in to get there. And you understand exactly how to reverse your mess ups and how to take them and put them away, so that your next follow-up successes, just like in City 2048, right? You had to get the right tiles. If you didn't get the right tiles, if you mismatched the tiles, you could lose. You could get kicked out. The people at the top have the exact same way they get kicked out of the game. If you're in City 2048, you can be the #1 player in the world. If you fill up that thing with little tiles and you can't make any more moves, you have to start over. Years of work gone. Maybe for some of these guys, I mean, they're crazy. The people that are in front of me, they're crazy. They play this game. They're amazing. They're awesome. I love them. But you think about that in the marketplace. You think about that in stocks. People's entire portfolios can disappear because they're bound by the same rules of the marketplace as any other individual investor. If you have $500 million in an account and you put everything in like one stock, you're screwed. If that thing goes down to zero, right? And everyone's in that same position. It's all about the game that has rudimentary, fundamental rules. And once you understand those rules, you can grow. And once you can grow, you can use it so that your future investments are so much better. Because at the beginning, it's tough. You'll lose money sometimes, especially if you're doing active trading, especially if you're pushing your limits, you're pushing your boundaries, you're going out there to crush it. You're gonna mess up. Lost a lot of money at the beginning, lost a lot of money in the midway. You make a lot of failures. But that's an investment in yourself, an investment in your education. If I quit playing 2048 after I first lost, I would never have been the #3 2048 player in the world. I would never be here. Never. Because you have to power through. And you power through by establishing yourself in a character and a desire and a drive and a proven principle that you deserve. And you have to believe in yourself so much that any failure is just uncompromising to your image and your stability, as long as you know that what you're doing is a good fit, what you're doing is what you want to do, what you do is what you love to do. And when you take that, it's so immensely powerful that you can totally change your mindset and your perspective on anything you do. And that's how you skyrocket your movement towards that surreal place in the market where you're making so much money a day. Literally, I could keep playing 2048 right now, and I would, if I push the buttons, I still have the strategies down. I can make as much money, as many points in 2048 in a day that it would take people like literally weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks of playing to do. Because I've gotten to a point where now it's not as much about the points, right? It's more so about the time. And that's a very, very fortunate position to be in, because now I know that I have the ability to go in and I can earn a significant amount of points in the game. Same thing in the marketplace. If you have a huge portfolio, you know that you can go in at any time, make one trade on a 9 to noon stock, make a couple $100 million. That's the same principle. That's what this game is in 2048, because you've put in the work, you put in the growth, and now you know that you can do it. And that, at least for me, once I got to that point in 2048, that was when I knew that I could back off. That's when I knew that I could take a break, because I'd made it. And making it is different for a lot of people. Sometimes people don't want to get to third place in the world, and that's totally okay. You know? I'd love to be first place in the world. I probably have to pay 2048 for about the next 3 years to do it, you know? And it was a long, long time ago when I did that. I still have the phone. That's the only reason I have that phone, you know? Because I care, and it matters. Because if you put in your time, your effort, your energy, you're going to achieve results. And as long as you stay persistent, you stay consistent, you just absolutely crush it. 2048, investments, life, it's all about you. And if you can do it, you're going to get to this amazing, amazing, amazing place where now you have the option, right? So originally, you might have to take everything that comes your way. I had to play every single game of 2048 I could. But now I can back off. Like, if I want to make my points in the game, I log in, I push a couple buttons, I do it. Same thing in the marketplace. If you want to make money, you log in, you use your unique skill set, you use your unique ability, you use your unique value proposition. You can create revenue like that, right? Because you've put in the work in the past to get to where you want to be. You know, I'm nowhere near this in the marketplace. I wish I was. It's a very, very long journey. It's a very tough journey. But once you get to the end, retirement, making it, success, whatever you want to call it, you know, you can save for years and years and decades of your life in a long-term compounding fund and have a portfolio of millions and millions of dollars just by saving 10% of your income every year. And that's so powerful, and people don't understand it, which sucks, right? Because it's all a lot of work at the beginning, and it's tough. You know, take away 10%, like, come on, man, that's tough for a lot of people. But when you do that, you're gonna get to this amazing point in your retirement, once you've put in the work at the end of it all, where you can just sit back, right? And it's there forever. You're at the top. You've made it to the top. In 2048, it was a leaderboard. For you, it could be a bank account. It could be an investment account. It could be a portfolio. It's different for everyone. It's all about what you want to get, and then going out there and putting in the work and getting it. And then when you get there, it's such a crazy feeling. And you can finally step back from the game. You can step back and look at it all and reflect on it and say, wow, you know, there was this whole paramount shift in my life, my personality, my mindset, my business. Everything changed because you put in the work to get to that new phase of work. You put in the work to get to that place where you were able to do exactly what you wanted to do, exactly how you wanted to do it, exactly when you wanted to do it. And because of that, you found comfort in your work and your life and your job and your investments in yourself. And that's what's going to give you the utmost staggering results in existence. That's going to get you to the next level of any kind of professional or personal career, because you're finally able to do you. Thanks, guys. Hope you had a good one. Got value from this. I really appreciate it. See ya.